I'm bored, you're bored. No Collingwood AFL or VFL footy this weekend. A stream of sadness runs through my body when I think of the idea that there will be no Pies footy to look forward to. So let's relive and recapture some of the emotions from the games thus far this year in 2024. And I wonder why I'm doing this and why I want to put myself through this, because this year has been nothing short of exactly what the last 2 years have been, and that's been a whirlwind of emotions, heartache, anxiety, heartbreak in there. So let's do it all again, why don't we? So we all remember the GWS Collingwood game, but this is probably my favourite moment from the game where Dacos check sides it and fits it through the goals off one step. That's what I find so incredible, and that was Nick Dacos's real proper full-time run through the midfield, and he was by far the most impressive player on the field for the Collingwood side. He had 34 disposals, 16 contested possessions, he'd kicked a goal, and also had 10 clearances for his troubles in the middle. And just on that check side kick, I just think Nick Dacos has brought that into the AFL and has made that his own, and you're seeing players across the league try and replicate that. But for Nick to be able to do that off one step is a feat within itself, and is probably why he's able to execute that kick better than what we see going around in the league at the moment. Next up was the most difficult game to watch, the Sydney versus Collingwood game, where we just couldn't move the ball. But the silver lining in that game was Lachie Schultz's first goal after the siren for the club, and just seeing the players get around him, like, that was massive, wasn't it? Yeah. You see that, and that is why I'm so proud to be a Collingwood fan. We got belted, not only on the score, but we got belted in the game itself. The way the game was played, it was all on Sydney's terms. We couldn't move the ball. And then after the siren, the game's finished, you could easily just walk off the field, but everyone gets to Lachie Schultz after kicking his first goal for Collingwood. Here, another disappointing game against St Kilda, and this fucking goal stirs me. Oh, Jack Higgins. What don't I like about that? I mean, that celebration. Sure, the ball was out of bounds, whatever, but that something about Jack Higgins and then that celebration riles me up. I remember the Darcy Moore one where Jack Higgins kicked goal of the year on him, where he threw it up before he went around the goalpost and managed to wrap his foot around to kick goal of the year. And then that famous speech proceeded after being awarded the goal of the year. There was something in that moment, in that celebration, where I just wanted to spit at my TV and break at the same time. It was probably a culmination between that goal, that celebration, and the fact that Collingwood was 0-3, and the premiership hangover talk was in full throttle in AFL world, so it was really a difficult time for everyone. Nevertheless, we moved to the Gabba, and this awesome end-to-end goal was really nice. John Noble had a big breakout game this year. What I loved about that game is we travelled to the Gabba, where Brisbane had just as much to lose, given that they hadn't won a game either at that point of their season. And we came in under the pump, under a whole lot of scrutiny, and we come in and John Noble has a great impact off the halfback flank and he's kept his spot since then. And then we uncharacteristically see this from Pendles, who typically has a clean slate, so we'll let him slide, but that was unusual. Yeah, Collingwood win, and now we're 1-3 and we're on the up. Next up was this Collingwood Hawthorn game, and surprise, surprise, Jack Higgins, one of these ones. I mean, it was something we were talking about throughout the whole week, was how many free kicks Ginnivan was going to get against us. And you see the first goal for Hawthorn is from the direct result of Jack Ginnivan earning a high free kick for the high tackle. But yeah, this hospital ball from De Goey puts Pendlebury on his ass and had him subbed out due to the rib encounter. Yeah, that was De Goey's second hospital ball that game. And then we know what happened for the most part of that game. We nearly choked it. Looking back at it though now, considering the circumstances and considering where Hawthorn are at now, it was the worst win. I remember people were quite flat about that game, but at the time I just felt like Hawthorn were a lot better than what their record had suggested. They weren't playing well, they had injuries, and then we go to a neutral ground after a tough fixture, scheduling wise, travel, buys, non-buys, and then we come up and we win this game by just a thread. But It's a win at the end of the day, and will go a long way into hopefully continuing our top 4 endeavours in the second half of the year. Next up was this Collingwood capitulation in the first quarter, really. Good down by, 31 points after this goal. So at this moment, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is a premiership hangover. Maybe we are getting too old. We've just been jumped by a young team that's up and about early in the year. I had my questions about Port Adelaide and their defence and being able to hold down the ship in the back line. But that first quarter, they well and truly blew us away. And what transpired after that first quarter completely took me away. Down 30 points, and we're able to turn it around just before half-time with Patrick Lipinski having a massive game. I think he kicked 4 goals that game, which is probably his best game in Collingwood colours. And then Lipinski, ironically, ices the game as well. Well, doesn't ice the game, but kicks the last goal of the game for his 4th goal, which is a career record for Patrick Lipinski. So we're talking slow starts against Port Adelaide, and we can't afford to do that against a fast-firing Essendon side, and then lo and behold, look what happens. And we're down by 4 goals within the first 5 minutes. So that was funny. But then we saw this. Fuck. What a mark, seriously. Such a moments player, big moments man, clutch. Him and De Goey, our most clutch players. Bobby Hill, is he entering that conversation as one of the most clutch players for Collingwood? Nick Dacos, of course. God, we got some players we can rely on. But it's a draw, unfortunately. And little did we know it wasn't going to be the first draw of the season so far. But guys, Caleb and I did a watch along for this next highlight against Carlton late in the game. So I'll let this live recall do the talking.
I feel like last week they were calling those Collingwood from either one.
Ping-ponging, Nick Dacos, right foot snap, he's kicked the goal! Dacos has kicked the goal!
Let's go, Chet.
1 minute remaining in the game.
Hey, let's fucking go.
A remarkable game of football.
That game was obviously a massive win against a rivalry side, and Nick Dacos kicking 2 goals from stoppage sources against someone like Sam Walsh in the clutchest of moments. Like I said, Collingwood are really starting to build this pool of players who just have the clutch gene in their body. And like I said, we're looking at Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, Nick Dacos, and of course, De Goey. How about this ripper from Dacos running out of the middle against West Coast, against somebody who fancies challenging him in Harley Reid, and really took it to him that game. Harley Reid had his moments, but that was a game, the West Coast game at Marvel was a really, for me, it was a danger game because of what happened in 2022 early in the year where we got absolutely shocked by West Coast, and we remember how bad West Coast were that year. So that's why I just had a bit of PTSD going into this game, but it was comforting to see that we ended up pumping them. And Finlay McRae here, Joe Richards, boy, hasn't he come out. First goal for the club. I think he had 3 goal assists before he kicked that goal as well. Moving into Collingwood versus Adelaide. Scott Pendlebury in the stoppage. Man, he really winded back the clock in that quarter in particular. 2 goals, 2 goal assists, 10 disposals, really had the game on his terms and led the way for Collingwood. And this is when we're really starting to say, okay, well, fuck, I think Pendles he's not ready to fold. He's not ready to sail off into the sunset. He's still here and he wants more, and it's clear. I think this right here is the true embodiment of what Pies footy looks like when we're at our best, moving the ball from end to end. And I'm pretty sure this ends in the clutch moment where De Goey takes this mark and kicks well and truly. 26 disposals and 2 goals from forward is a massive game. Unfortunately, he got injured, but still a massive game from De Goey. How many steps? Damn. You would have liked to see that call get played on, just to see how Collingwood would have been able to deal with it. But at the end of the day, the right call was made, given he'd taken 27 odd steps. This game here was much about Harvey Harrison having his statement game, kicking 3 goals and really solidifying his spot in the team for the foreseeable future as that defensive winger who can roll forward as well. And then Joe Richards himself had like 20 disposals, kicked a goal, unfortunately had that foot injury. God, who remembers this goal? Fucking Nichols. What a turn of events this was, what we saw after this. What a debacle. Geez, how that changed things. I mean, look, you've got to respond, you've got to react and break the momentum, but in front of a Perth crowd where they're getting behind the Dockers. They've got the run. We've got an experience. It's hard. It's hard. Once that call was made, it was so hard. It was almost impossible to turn around the momentum back into Collingwood's favour. And another draw. Shock. Another draw. I wonder if how much this is going to hurt us at the end of the year regarding our top 4 aspirations. One of the main stories from this game against the Doggies was Lachie Schultz's acute redemption arc, where he kicked 4 goals or 5 goals and really proved to everybody that he can apply pressure on the scoreboard as well as what he does best, and that's applying pressure around the field. So it's good to see that he can take things personally and replicate and emulate that energy back onto the field. And just a couple weeks ago, Bobby Hill right here, fucking hell. You got to remember, this ends up in a goal as well, so it's even more of a highlight, the fact that it's a team goal and it goes through the big sticks. This is probably one of my most favourite sequences of the year. Hoskin Elliott takes the flyer. Billy Frampton sees Bobby Hill lurking. We see Kruger's heading deep to the goal square, doubles back and gets that space and kicks his first goal in 2024. And fuck, what a great game he had as well. Sidey! Yeah! How good is that? You just can't help but not smile for that moment. Wish he kicked the goal, but fuck. Didn't know he had hops like that. Speaking of hops, how did he do that? What a man. What a man. That was his first specky, I think, this year that he was able to take. Speaking of speckies and marks of the year, woo, as a strut, the bump into Archer, and the goal. God, I love Bobby. That was his second best game of his career behind the Norm Smith performance. Unbelievable. But here we are, down by 54 points and another end-to-end goal for Collingwood. The true Collingwood way. Pies footy, some would say. Yeah. This is what we need to see more of in the second half of the year. And Lachie Schultz, another big game. Consistency. Really starting to impact the scoreboard now. One of the best comebacks ever, that's for sure, obviously. Imagine if Sidey kicked this. Well, he sent it, obviously. Brave. He did everything, the man, Bobby. He did everything. This moment, oh my God, my heart. My heart, in that very moment, my brain in that very moment, I was not willing to accept a loss after all of that. I don't know how I would be able to deal with the extended break with the bye, having known we'd lost that game. Had that been a goal, North would have kicked 20 goals and 3 behinds to Collingwood's 18 goals, 11 behinds. Like, how do you accept that? But given the adversities, the slow start, the injuries, North playing like the best team in the competition in that first half, to win the game like that, it's going to mean a whole lot going to the second half of the year. And that's for Brazzy's 200th right here. So look how much it means to him and look how much it means to the club. I thought I'd share a couple moments with you guys. Those are the key highlights, in my opinion, from the year thus far. Is there any moments you guys think I missed? And if so, let me know in the comment section, and let's buckle up and get ready for a big second half of the year. And let's hope that we go back to back. Go Pies.